Morning, guys. I'm running a few minutes late this morning.
Thanks for listening to K-Love.
Good morning, guys. Good morning, guys. I had some questions asked yesterday, so I'm going to go on and answer some questions today. One of them is I had mentioned something about a consequence and rewards jar. Okay, this is something I started at the children's homes that my husband and I was parents at. I'm going to pull this down a little bit. Okay, everybody see me, hear me okay? I'm trying to figure this out. Okay, so consequence and rewards are very important when it comes to children. You like to be praised. You like to be told you're doing a great job. Okay, so when you have a chore chart and the kiddos, at the end of the day, if the kiddos have not completed their chores that are on the chore charts, they get a consequence. Now, the consequences, I actually let them decorate 2 jars. Okay, they can't see. So the jars need to be where you can't see inside the jar. Okay, so you can paint the jar. I like to use, depending on like those big pickle jars, and paint them and let them decorate them. You have the consequence jar, and then you have the rewards jar. And so they can decorate it accordingly. Okay, now the consequence jar, this is the fun part. Okay, kids are harder than themselves than you would ever be. So to allow them or help them write up a consequence for their consequence is a great idea, because not allowed to watch TV for 2 days. I mean, I wouldn't have come up with that consequence, but they came up with that consequence. So allowing them to come up with their own consequences, write them out. But a lot of times what's funny is I'll have some of the kiddos, they'll write up consequences hoping that somebody else will get it. Okay, but I always remind them, remember, these are consequences that you're going to get yourself as well. So when they try to write up consequences for other people, and hoping that they'll get those consequences, sometimes kind of mean, but here's the thing, 9 times out of 10, they get their own consequences. It's kind of funny. So, but they write up their consequences. It can be wash dishes for 2 days. And you'd be amazed how quickly your house gets clean with all these consequences. I had one kiddo, he wrote up the consequence, organize all the DVDs alphabetically. Well, this family had a lot of DVDs. I'm talking a lot of DVDs. Okay, so that consequence took him hours to do. Okay? So he didn't think that one through. Okay? So, and it helps children actually think about the future. Think about what is going to happen if they have those consequences, okay? And they don't want those consequences. But the reward jar, which is kind of fun, I always like to get those at McDonald's. They've got those $2 booklets or the $3 booklets where you get free coupons. They do them around Halloween and Valentine's, and they don't expire till the end of the year. And I think last year the little sneakies made it to where it expired within that month. So buying little coupons like those, I think Wendy's have them sometimes, DQ has them sometimes, but you can also write up your own little coupons for rewards. Like, I like the reward of if you have a kiddo that loves vintage stock, you get $5 at vintage stock to spend on something. And you could put 2 or 3 of those in there. And then you could spend $5 at Walmart. All their favorite things that they like to do. Now, one kiddo, he may like an extra hour of TV time. So you could put a little coupon in there for an extra hour of TV time. Hold on a second. Maybe I asked you to let me do this, okay? I'm fine. My daughter's worried about me because I woke up a little sick this morning. Here, let's introduce you. Say hi. Okay, let Mama finish this, okay?
Okay.
And then we'll go, okay? All right, guys. That's my daughter, Rennie. She's my 6-year-old. Okay? Let Mommy finish this, okay? All right. Thank you, honey. And so the reward star can be things that they come up with as well, that they would like to do. I had one kiddo, he really loves books. He loved to read books. And so one of his rewards was to be able to go to the library for an hour. So different things like that. Allow the children to come up with their own rewards and consequences, okay? It teaches them responsibility, accountability, and when they have those meltdowns, those breakdowns, the consequences are a reminder that we still have to behave, we have to do what we need to do, and those consequences, for example, so they don't do a chore. It's the end of the day, they're going into bed, and you say, okay, honey, I noticed that you didn't take the trash out today. You're not screaming, you're not hollering at these kiddos. You're teaching them responsibility, okay? So at the end of the day, you have a certain timeline when the chores are all to be done on your chore chart, okay? And we'll talk about how to create chore charts tomorrow, okay? And the responsibility. It's your job as a parent to train your children. That means how to clean, how to, take care of personal hygiene, having the chart about brushing your teeth, combing your hair, putting on clean clothes every day, teaching them you put clean underwear on every day. I mean, there's all certain, and it's age appropriate. Now, you wouldn't necessarily need to do that with a teenager, but when you're teaching a little 4 and 5-year-old responsibility, then you put on those responsibilities age appropriate, okay? And then the consequence stars are age appropriate. Here's age appropriate. Say you have different age groups in your home. Ages 2 to 6 has their consequence jars. 6 to 10 has their consequence jars. And then you have the teenagers' consequence jars. Okay, so you got to also reflect on the ages of your children. It has to meet their able to do. Okay, so you wouldn't expect a 5-year-old to be able to organize the DVDs. Okay, and it's just not, she's not reading, she's not able to figure out the ABC process. That's not something that would be a good consequence for her. Now, a 5-year-old consequence could be simply, let me think, one of the consequences that a 5-year-old would do. A 5-year-old could clean up, possibly, or, let's see, a consequence for a 5-year-old. See, I let them write up their own consequences of a punishment. My daughter, can't watch cartoons for a day. That would be a consequence for a 5-year-old. Okay, she can't watch her cartoons for the 1 hour a day. That would be a good consequence. Okay, so, and even a 5-year-old has chores. She's got to clean up her room before bed. She has to put her dirty clothes in the hamper. I mean, there's different things. How are you supposed to, you know why people grow up and don't know how to clean their house and don't know how to do? It's because you didn't train them when they were little. Okay, they don't want to grow up and not know how to do things. Now, when a child comes to you and they see you doing dishes and they want to help you do dishes and you're like, no, I want to do it. Well, they may be only 6 or 7 asking you to do the dishes. Eventually they're going to quit asking, okay? And then you're going to want them to do it and they're not going to want to do it. So pull up a chair, let them climb on it and say, here, help me wash this dish. Give them a little sponger and something. Let them help you. That's the time to train them, teach them. I know it's sometimes inconvenient and you'll end up probably washing the dish over, but that's okay. It's training them, teaching them, and they want to help. Let them help. And if I'm a little distracted, I'm watching my daughter fight her bike. I can see her. She knows where she has to stay. So the consequence jar is simply something that they have come up with themselves, okay, for not doing what they needed to do. So at the end of the day, when they haven't done their chores, now if they have done their chores that day and at the end of the week, they get to pick out of the reward jar. Now, once a week, and this is the part that, we teach our children consequences and that life sometimes is not fair. Here's the part in the children's home, the 30 girls and 15 boys. You had children that did and those children that didn't do. You don't reward the children that didn't do what they were supposed to do. So those children, once a week, we would do the rewards. Okay, we'd gather up all the rewards and we'd say, hey, those who have rewards, gather them up. Mr. Pennington's taking all those that have the rewards out tonight. Those who don't have the rewards have to stay here at the dormitories with Miss Pennington. Same thing in the concept in your home. So you've got a husband and wife, or if it's just a single parent, what you do is you get a babysitter and you make the one that didn't earn the rewards stay at home. And if you have to take them with you and you don't want to have the expense of a babysitter, you take them with you. The thing is, life's not fair, guys. And they had every opportunity to earn a reward just as much as the other child did. And allowing that child to get their rewards is teaching the other child, hey, you could have had this, you could have done this, here's the consequences for not. You're teaching them consequences, responsibility. If you don't work hard, you don't get the rewards for working hard. If you do something, I like to give my kiddos rewards if they go above and beyond. I come home and say, without even asking, they've gone and washed the dishes for me, and it's not even on their chore chart. You know what? Go, honey, go get your rewards. Okay? And, in fact, get 2. Okay? They're going to want to do more and more and more to get those rewards. Okay? And make those rewards fun. It could be spend the night out with mom, have date night. It could be anything that they could, but they can't see what it is. Okay? You write up all the rewards, things that they would want to do. Now, the consequences, you need to follow through with those consequences. Now, some parents go, well, what if they didn't do their chores? What makes you think they're going to do their consequence? This is what you do. You have them go get the consequence, pull it out, and put it on the board. Okay? At the end of the week, they're going to want to go out. They're going to want to go do. And they're going to come to you and ask you, hey, Mom, can I do this? I'm sorry, honey. There's way too many consequences that are waiting your attention. When you complete your consequences or your chores, then you can do what you want to do. But until then, go do your consequences, and then we'll talk about it. Okay? Because they are going to come to you, and they're going to ask to do something. They're going to ask to want something. And that's when you say, I'm sorry, but I'm still waiting on you to do your consequence. And once those consequences are done, then I'll be free to answer any questions, do anything extra with you. But until you do what is expected of you, you can't expect that from me. Okay? It's teaching them life lessons, guys. It's teaching them to be responsible. Okay? They occurred that consequence. And so that's how you teach your children at a small age of consequences in life. There are consequences for not doing what you're supposed to do. There are consequences, and there are rewards. There are rewards for doing what you're supposed to do. You do a good job at work that day, you're going to have, your boss pat you on the back and say, hey, what a good job you did. There's all different ways of consequences, and I love to let the kiddos do it. The kiddos who write out the consequences, they are harder on themselves than I would ever be, or you as a parent would be. But you know what? They know that you love them and that you're training them and that you're teaching them responsibility. And I've never had a child buck the consequence and rewards jar. They absolutely love it, because if you don't have consequences, if they don't take the consequences, they don't get the reward until that consequence is done. So if they have a consequence on the jar, on the board, they're not allowed to get a reward until that consequence is done. See what I'm saying? So again, it's their responsibility to make sure it gets done. You don't have to scream and holler at them. You don't have to raise your voice at them. You don't have to yell at them. You haven't done this yet. They know they haven't done it. They don't need you to remind them they haven't done it. Now maybe you might want to point it out and go, I think you forgot something. I sure would love to give you a reward this week, but you've yet to do this. But you don't have to yell at them. You don't have to scream at them. They know exactly what is expected of them. Okay? And they don't need you to scream and yell at them. They may even come to you and say, Mom, that consequence, I've kind of gotten behind. Is there a way you can help me? Absolutely. Help them. But don't do it for them. Okay? And it teaches them to come to you when they need help. See what I'm saying? So, parenting is not easy. It's trial and error, you know. And trust me, when the consequences have to be severe enough to teach a lesson. Okay? It's teaching lessons. Okay? And that's what we want to do. We want to take everything in a teaching moment. Okay? Everything's a teaching moment when it comes to children. Okay? And you may mess up. You may learn by trial and error, but that's the best part of parenting. Okay? Is being able to tell your child, you know what, that didn't work. Let's try something else. Okay? It's okay to do that. Okay, she's still okay. All right, guys. I just wanted to bring that up and see. You can try it, not try it, but it's really fun to let the kiddos sit them down and say, hey, you know, I got this new idea. What do you guys think about this? You'd be surprised. The kiddos hear the words reward and get to be rewarded for doing really well. If you have a kiddo that struggles at school and they come home and they have a piece of paper that's got a smiley face on it, you know, make a big deal about that. They need to be patted on the back. We as human nature thrives on being praised. Why do you think we praise the Holy Spirit? Why do we praise people at all? Because it lifts our spirits. It makes us want to do more, to be praised more. So praising a child, rewarding a child is very satisfactory to a child. And they're going to want more. And they're going to want to please you. Okay? They're not going to, and you'd be amazed how quickly their behavior starts to change. They're not going to want that consequence star, even though it's there. After a while, you're going to have to quit using that. And you're going to have to come up with creative ways. You know, a reward star doesn't necessarily have to cost you money. It could be, I always like to have like a treasure box. You know, they get an item out of my treasure box. And it could be anything. I bargain shop. If something's on sale, or, you know, I have things like, you know, I have a treasure chest. And it's full of goodies. Okay? And it doesn't necessarily have to be a trip out. It could be a movie night. I get free movie tickets, you know, and I put in there free movie night with mom, or free movie night with your best friend, and invite a friend to come along. There's so many different ideas that you can use. It's limitless, okay? And different ideas are great to share with other parents. So this is just an idea that I had come up with that really helped the behaviors in children that struggled. Okay, and it's teaching them responsibility. It's teaching them that I don't have to yell at them to teach them how to do something. Okay, and it's teaching them life lessons, and that's what we want to do. Okay, is teach them life lessons. It's very important that they learn at a young age that things don't just get handed to them. Okay, you don't want them to grow up constantly with their hands out for people to just give everything to them. That doesn't teach them anything, people. Not at all. And you want to prepare them from when they're adults. You want to prepare them to know how to cook, how to clean, how to take care of themselves. Because you're not always going to be there for them. You have to train them so they can turn around and train their children. The problem is our society is so busy, they're not really training their children and teaching their children responsibility. And this is a great way to allow the children to make choices, to have responsibility. I had a kiddo that one of the consequences was he had to wear mixed-match clothes for the day. And I was like, why? Is that a consequence? You know why? Because that child was very OCD about having to have everything match. So for that child, that was a severe consequence. Okay? So, I mean, there's different things that children feel as a consequence. So, like I said, allow them to be a part of that. Allow them to make those choices and those changes. So, we're going to say goodbye. Hold on, Rennie. Say goodbye.
Bye.
All right, guys. Have a great day. We're going to go Here We Grow Again sale and get some clothes since she's outgrowing all her clothes and her brother's outgrowing all his clothes. He has literally gone from 3
And I have a candy stash.
She has a candy stash. All right, guys. You have a great day. God bless you. And again, if you have any ideas or questions, please let me know.
Next, in the comments below.
Yeah. Now, tomorrow's Sunday, so I won't be coming on here on Sunday. But Monday morning, I think I'm going to talk about chores. And a chore chart.
And I'm going to be in there